Hello guys, good morning. Welcome back to our channel guys. Uh, as you can see on my screen guys, I will just demonstrate you or show to you what have we done for uh, our FW project guys. So we've been working this for almost 2 months, and last week we've been so very busy in because it's already UET last week. So it means to say that we already deployed this to our web server, and the user, the responsible for user acceptance testing, has already tested it. And of course, they found some bugs we need to fix. Yeah, so it was a week-long busy last week. So there are lots of, it's not actually a very only minor bug fixing. And mostly, guys, it's more on the misunderstanding the requirement. So that's really happen in development. So although I'm the one or I am the one who just developing this, but during UET time I need someone to help, for example, or in fixing some UI issues, which is not really major issues. Most of it is also cosmetic. Yeah, so they want to make it beautiful, the button color, when they click they want to dance it, you know what I mean. So something like that. But the major issue, I should fix it because I'm the one who did it, I'm the one who familiar with this. So yeah, anyway, so I'll just demonstrate what we have done guys. So first and foremost, I will show you what is the functional requirements of this application, right? So this is just a very basic application, but it will be usable also for this is just internal enterprise application. So what you can see on my screen, guys, this is just the functional requirement. Functional request is something like this. So we need to create an application that will submit a request, and these are what they want to do. You have a notification after saving the request, and the request can be revised. And if the request will be revised, you have to add additional information, and we should have a history, KPI history, and the request can be cancelled and approved, and requests can be rejected, and you have to set who rejected it like that. Should view a request, there are requirements that button should not be available, something like that. And the searching, and of course the something like the dashboard here, and the exporting and sending email notification. So the email notification, there are lots of here what the email should look like and who will be notified like that. And the process flow is just basically that line. The submitter could be any user from the enterprise or from the company. And this is the approver, and this is the system. This is what we are doing. Alright, so basically we are just having this requirement. And then, yeah, the mandatory field is not, this is just how they lay out. So something like this. So, well, we have created a .NET Core API for this, and the front end is Angular 15. So if you can see, I will run this project. This is already my backend. I am using .NET Core 3.1, and this is Windows Authentication. And also, we are using Entity Framework Core 3.1 here, and also we are utilizing, or meaning we are using uh, uh, repository pattern and generic repository pattern and unit of work here. So these are my endpoint. So mostly on the request, So I can have a request list. I can have a request filtered by username and if it's approved or not. And yeah, I can usually this is the add request. So basically like that. And you can reject a request. I mean approve a request. And you can revise. You can cancel like that. And other tables here are just lookup table. So usually we show it in the front end as drop down. So we maintain it in our database. So that's it, guys. So yes, I will just show you something here in the back end. For example, since this is .NET Core, so as you can see in our startup, this is where we configure or inject our services. Yeah. So this one, the policy origin, this is our API URL. This is core enable cores. So and then we allow method, allow header, and the credential. This is the Windows credential. And we have authentication. IIS default. We are deploying this in IIS web server. So something like that, the authorization policy. So required authenticated user, something like that. And this is the DB context that we configure here. So we are using SQL Server as our database. And this is a unit of work, guys. I configure here my email server, email sender. I configure her, my notifications, sending notification. I inject, I configure, I use, this is a dependency injection. So this is how you are going to configure that. And for example, our services, this is the interface of the IML sender, and our implementation is just basically like this. So this is using SMTP. All right. So when we are going to use it, we are going to inject that interface in our constructor, and there you can use the following services. Okay, for example, here I inject the I notification, so I have a variable notify. I mean the variable underscores notify. I inject the unit of work here. I inject the configuration and also inject the mapper. So we are also using mapper here, guys. So for example, in our add request, so this is our HTTP endpoint. I mean, web API endpoint. We have asynchronous here task, action result add from body, and this is our request detail. This is our data transfer object model. All right. So for example, here this is just getting credentials. So I have mapped here the request. So this request is our table for the request, but we are going to map it to our request DTO. So if you can see here, guys, in my persistence here models, this is the request entity, and then I am using the request DTO data transfer. So most, not all of the fields here are found in the request. So that is why I have used here. So we will not do it manually to map an object. So where is my request controller here? So underscores mapper dot map request, and we have to map it in the model. This one. So first, if you are not using mapper now, so what you are going to do is you have to create or you have to map it manually. So that's basically not the recommendation because a lot of typing and a lot of errors in the during the bug fixing. Right? So how you are going to use the AutoMapper? This is already a NuGet package. So first you have to install it, to install the package. So as you can see here, uh, in my dependency here. So you can see here the package I already have AutoMapper. So you have to look this AutoMapper, that extension, that Microsoft dependency injection, because we use dependency injection. And then we have to create a mapping class. This is the detail. So you just have to inherit the profile which is coming from the AutoMapper. And this is how you map class. This is the source and the destination. For example, is a method create map. This is the request as a source, and the destination will be request DTO. And you have option reverse map, so it could also that this will be your source and that will be the destination. So like that. And there are lots of things that you can do on AutoMapper, guys. So you can just find in the AutoMapper documentation for something that you may need. But for now, I have just basic needs to map from one model to my created data model. All right. So after you have created this, now you can use it already in your code. For example, this is bar request. It's mapped to the model, which is the request DTO. And my customer, this is my customer DTO entity and mapped to the model. So what is meant by that, guys, is, for example, in my customer, I only have this data models. So all of this is also here in the revised DTO. Or if it cannot be found here, our code will only get what is available here. So that's are the file that you're going to use if you are going to save it to your database. Okay, so that is how mapping works. So yeah, I lost my request controller here. So for example, this customer I map, so this customer will only have an entity that is already that's found in our request detail or something like that, and also the country, the brands, like that. All right, so that is how mapping works. And we have, this is add add a sync. So basically this already in our generic repository or a repository pattern. So you can see that this is our implementation of generic interface. So the generic repository, we are just passing what entity to pass here. So there are no repetition of code because we're already put it in generic. Uh, if you want to more explanation, I have a video about that generic repository pattern and unit of work. So that's basically what we are doing, guys. So after that, the requirement is to send an email notification. So that is why we have created our service also a notification here. This is our interface notification. So we are just using, this is what we call overloading. So we are listen, for example, revised request to different parameter. There is a revised request notification with which has additional information, which has a country, but the other one don't have. So this is I'm just using overloading here. So cancel notification, and then our implementation is this one. So basically in our request notification, we build a table with the data. So for example, this one, approve notification. So we are creating the system of table building here. And then after that, we're going to send email. So this is our sending email. It's also configured in our startup classes. So we just add add here as our dependency injection, like that. So as you notice, guys, we are not creating a new instance of the class because that's the beauty of dependency injection. So anywhere of this method, you can just use this variable underscore sending, right? So if you are going to create an instance of the class of the sender email, you can do as well, but you are going to do it in every part of your method. For example, here in the send notification, here if you are going to send, so you are going to create a class, for example, var class sender is equals a new instance of sender email. or sender notification, can do that, like that. Yeah, so what's the error here? Yeah, because there is a constructor here, so that's why there's a constructor here. No, this is I mean that sender of email is email sender. So sender equals new email sender, like that. So yeah, because there are lots of properties also in the email sender. So you have to create like that. Yeah, the email sender has a config as a config as a constructor parameter. So you have to add it when you create an instance of the class. So you have to inject or the configuration. You will see like that I configuration, but you have to add it. So the beauty of dependency injection is you are not going to create an instance of the class and every method that you will use that, but you are just going to inject that in your constructor. So once you have that, it will be available inside a different method inside that class, like that. What we're doing. So basically, this is just we are just using string builder here to concatenate for our email message to be sent in an application. So that is our backend, guys. So yeah, so for example, if we approve a request, if we reject a request, the logic is just like that. So for example, approve a request, so we just update the request status, the approve date, the responsible email, like that, and then we send notification, right? So that is our backend. So now in our front end, we are using Angular 15. So this is our front end, guys. So I have done a lot of here. So I may to you, but I have to, I mean, comment the production and I will use that. So all we have to do is to run this because this is our web API. And after that, uh, we can run our Angular now. So go to the terminal and then we end this serve, we'll serve our Angular app. It's in this server, in this serve only. So it's creating bundles of our Angular code, TypeScript code. So this is now your Angular, guys. So yeah, we have this. This one is a material table, so we're showing it. So you can view from here, right? These are the buttons I'm talking about. So this is Windows authentication. It will detect your current login user, but I am not connected to Active Directory, so this is just my local desktop. So add a request. So there are. This is what we are doing. A lot of requirements. So you have to display for that one. This one is required. So I did it. These are the reference table that we put in the drop down box, yeah, so something like that. So it's just this is just basic functionality, guys, but there are lots of items and a lots of things to consider. For example, an email is validated. This code should not accept numeric or I mean only accept numbers, and like that is only accept number, will not accept letters, like that. And then yeah, this will be an email. I will not put an email, so there will be invalid email, like that. right? And this one like that, and we can upload files here. We can select multiple files here, and when you click open, and you have an option to remove it before you upload, or you save it to the database, and you can choose another file if you need to add more files. You can just save it so it will not override, something like that. And final, before you click the submit button, you can remove what files that you are going to save the database. If you're okay, you can click the submit button now. So it's going here. Okay, so this is our, we have also implemented a progress bar here. This is an spinner in Angular material. So, ah, so we have also our logging. And then, yeah. So, see that. So, yeah, it's been added here. So, you can view that. If you are an administrator or you are approver, so this button will be enabled. You can approve and you can reject a request. And if you are the owner of the request, you can revise and cancel. So this will be enabled when you type, for example, cancellation button here, that it will be enabled. But if you are not going to type here, it will not be clickable. Under revise, if you add the national information, it will be enabled. But if you are not, it will not be applicable. Something like that, guys. And we display our, uh, yeah, the attachment should be here. So why is not showing? Okay, so basically what we're doing here. And yeah, so if we can see in our Angular application here, guys. So we have created now a services here. For example, the request service. This is uh, talking to our endpoint. Yeah, for example, this one, get list of requests, API request list. And if you get request data by username or approver, this is the one. So we have our services already there. If you upload files, update a request, revise a request, approve a request, like that, we are, you can say that in our API endpoint already. Uh, Date a request, cancel, upload, unload, like that. In our, for example, in our, how we use it in our add. So this is our add HTML. So basically, there's a lot of things to refactor here because this is our first time. So for example, the button that I'm just showing you. So this is how, where's the button now? This no, this is the add request. So this is the validation here. For example, we need to validate request description is required. So we have created this variable equals engine model, and then we have to check if this variable is valid. If not valid, we can display this small text dangers request required, like that. Same like that, and then for example, in our other validation here is yeah. So this div will just show up if the request type label selected equals EDI or request label selected is EDI support. We just hard code it like that. So just showing the divs or hiding it. And then yeah, of course this we have pattern your email here, how you validate the email. You just have the pattern. This is the regular expression, like that. And we have also allow numbers only here. So in our TypeScript, we just have function here to allow numbers. Example, this one allow numbers only. So this is they're just checking the character codes and allow letters only. This is also the character codes that are allow letters only. Right, so something like that we have used this. And then yeah, so basically that's more on UI. And then this is our multi drop down box. So I have a video for that. You can watch it if you will learn more. If you want a very specific about how to create a multi drop down box. And this is the loading, guys. So we have a mat spinner here. So we just display it here, and how it is being called. It's on it's called on the API respond. If still is still requesting to the API and there's no response, it will still loading. So how we do it, we have this in our HTTP interceptor, guys. So this is how we have lots of uh, included here in our HTTP interceptor. First is cloning the Windows credential, and this is also the loading that show. And after it's finalized, means the response been done, then the loader will hide. Okay, so it will based on the HTTP request. We are also our error handling here. So it's also based on the HTTP request. If it's still requesting and there's no response, I mean, if there's a response error, so we have to catch the error here. But this is general, so we cannot, I mean, there's no specific error message that is returned. So for now, it's just general message error. For example, the HTTP cannot be accessed, so it will return server-side error that 500 internal server error, something like that. Right, guys? So and then for example in our edit button here, I edit component here, there's the button that you can see in the first button. So we have to disable the button if the request data that comment is had not input yet, or the can revise is false, something like that. And the ng class is the color of the button. It will be button primary if can revise is true, or button secondary if can revise is false, and the request data that comment, this is a comment field, has not no input yet. There's a problem here, the cancel is not showing in G class button info if can cancel, and then button secondary if uh, not cancel, not request. So this is not showing what should be like that. This is not working. So anyways, let's be in. I think because this is NG class info. It should be primary. Can cancel within. So we are going to debug this because you can see in our yeah. So that's how we work on the UI part. So my teammate helped me in this beautification the UI part, and that's been needed. Alright guys, so basically this is what we've been working for almost 2 months. So last week we done with the user acceptance testing. Maybe next week in the Monday we will deploy it to the production, and then the user or the company can start using this application. So that's for now, guys. Thank you for watching our YouTube. And if you didn't subscribe yet, please subscribe and hit the bell button so you will be notified for our upcoming tutorials and real demonstration of our project, guys. So happy learning and happy weekend. Bye bye.